check. Okay, fantastic. Well, I think everything should be working as intended. So let's progress with MSQ or Endwalker. It's been a while. We were able to get some rest. Please do not hesitate to let us know if you're feeling tired. I worry we might exhaust your scarce reserve of ether. The prodigal familiar returns, and after causing all manner of trouble while we were in our meeting, I'm sure. I'm glad Hermes saw the flowers. Thank you, Sylvain. It will help, I hope. Today will be difficult for him. Hermes appears solemn and sorrowful. An all too brief interlude, perhaps, but it is time I attend to my next task. As Silk and Hyphlodeus are aware, we reached a verdict regarding the fate of the Lycaons. 7 were created for observation, and all 7 must be unmade. Doros has followed the correct protocols, and as chief observer, I can find no fault in his judgment. The Lycaones would disrupt the natural order, ravaging and consuming other species until they themselves starve and perish. They cannot be released into the wild, and they cannot be allowed to remain here in Elpis. I intend to petition the Bureau of the Architect to have the concept preserved as a restricted purpose hazardous life form. Hyphlodeus has pledged to support me in this endeavor. Yet, whatever the Bureau decides, the existing Lycaones have served their purpose. Doros has already isolated the creatures, and is preparing to carry out the necessary measures. I will join him forthwith. It is my duty to witness the conclusion to this study. If you are resolved, then we have but to accompany you. Of course, let us be off then. We return to the main aisle. It seems like my chat has disconnected from Stream Manager. Okay, I think that should be alright. I definitely should not stream for too long today, for I have business to attend to in the morning. We'll put a hard cap on, let's say, maybe 2 hours. Oh no. Doros, are you hurt? What happened here? They caught me off guard. I have them bound with ethereal shackles, but they became frenzied, even more so than usual, and broke free. I was able to stop 4. The other 3 escaped. I see them. Two have taken to the air above the 12 Wonders. The last is up ahead, lurking in the field. You and Sylvain handle that one. The pair in the sky you can leave to me. If this is how it must end, then so be it. I will render assistance to MSQ, unneeded though it is. Meteon, you are to stay here with Doros. But Hermes? The Lycaones must be reverted. I would spare you that pain, and mine. This is my burden, not yours. But if you are intent on helping, then please follow my lead. I'm not sure why am I constantly being disconnected from my chat in Stream Manager, but hopefully that doesn't become too big of a problem. Stay with Hermes, Sylvain. You'll need someone when the time comes. Never mind my wounds. They're easily healed. It is the Lycaones which concern me. These are indeed some large wolves. Why did you give them the ability to fly is beyond me. There's one. I appreciate your help, and lament that it is necessary. There it is, our quarry. Within striking distance at present, but if it feels threatened, it may well flee beyond our reach. Here's my plan. You will approach slowly, in full view, and draw the Lycaon's attention. Now, I warn you, its abilities are as fiery as its temperament. Once it spots you, it will unleash orbs of flame. But fear not. By my measure, you are more than equal to the task. Withstand the onslaught for a few brief moments, and that will give me the time to catch it unawares. Ready? Then let's begin. So... okay. I'm surprised at least I don't have to stand there and get hit. I call this fighting fire with fire. Okay. So I just... right, destination over here.
Now.
Now that is a cool staff.
Oh. Forgive me. Please, forgive me. May you and your kin find peace. Wherever your souls may drift in the underworld, may you find tranquil seas. Be not forgotten, in concept endure, to reclaim form and one day live again. Serve not the star, or any purpose save your own. Live again, if that be your desire. Hate, if that be your want. We are worthy, but leave your suffering behind. Lay down your burdens, be born anew. Fly high, fly free.
Join the convocation, Hermes. You do not belong here.
Leave to replace another. To be replaced. It changes nothing. Tell me, do you think it right that we sacrifice all these lives for the sake of the star? And when the star has reached perfection, what then? If all who are satisfied choose to die, shall we all die in satisfaction? I do not know. Were I to take up the seat of Van Daniel, it would be tantamount to approving my predecessor's death. I do not know if it is right. And to be torn by such thoughts, I do not know if I am fit to represent mankind.
Hermes! Please don't be angry. It hurts so.
Forgive me. If you would still consider me in spite of everything, I beg some time to gather my thoughts. Meanwhile, Hythlodaeus, I fear I must trouble you to attend to the others.
'Tis no trouble at all. Take as long as you require.
And you, my friend, I pray you find that which you seek.
I expect we have some few matters to discuss. Shall we return to the 12 Wonders for a time? Aye.
It has been quite an exciting visit for you thus far. Oh, you weren't injured, were you? Good, good. The other Lycaones have been taken care of. The incident is resolved, and life in Elpis continues as normal. Or ends, as the case may be. Rationally speaking, I understand Hermes' argument. No matter how well we No matter how well deserved the rest, there is a pang of sadness when a colleague leaves us. Yet never has a departure caused me such grief as Hermes appears to feel. What must it be like to experience such torment? I don't know what the answer he's searching for, or if it's within our power to give it, but I believe he would make a fine Fandaniel, and that if he rejects us out of hand, we will all be lesser for it. Travelers at the crossroads. Hephadeus wishes to discuss plans for the remainder of your visit. Where to now? If there is anywhere you would like to visit before we leave, I should be glad to show you the way. Hermes has not yet outright refused his position with the convocation, merely postponed the decision. As such, I may as well resume my assessment. If we cannot accompany him, then I will content myself with questioning his colleagues. Ever a pragmatist, then allow me to remain your humble guide. And what of you, Sylvain? Will you continue along with us? Wonderful. Our fellowship travels on unbroken. I say we explore another part of Elpis and see what new encounters there are to be held. If you would follow me, we will first head back towards Anagnosis. We part ways with Hermes not far from here. Given the size of Elpis, I expect our paths will cross again before long. From here we follow the path northwards towards Notonius. There we will find one of the news which facilitate travels between the islands of Elpis. First-time travelers must be accompanied by someone with the requisite permission, which I have previously been granted. We only need use the device together once, and henceforth you will have to leave, or you will have leave to use it freely. Shall we? Like a massive Ethernet shard. Unless the need is pressing, I won't be tracking Hermes with my ethereal sight. 'Tis poor manners to spy on someone's comings and goings in such a fashion, so don't ask. Social conventions notwithstanding, perceiving ether requires deliberate and intense concentration, and if we otherwise keep our eyes on the and we otherwise keep our eyes on the corporeal world. Hey, Bolthammer, welcome. How are you? Here we are, Latonius. This Neus will take us to the Calmelios Zephyros, the western island. That's it right there, looming large over us. Step this way, and we can soon admire the view from above. You doing fine? That's great to hear. I'm doing alright myself. It's been a nice, relaxing week so far.
I present to you Calmelios Zephyros. Here you will find a number of testing facilities, as well as the observation hub of Poiton Oikos. Right then. Let's begin by...
Well,
well, an Arraius. How delightful.
And what, pray tell, is that?
Ah, that's a new species of shark. We approved the concept but a few days ago. Sharks are among the most popular sea creatures. Rare is the day when someone does not submit a new concept. At first, they were largely orthodox, consideration given to such things as size and environmental impact, and then a whimsical someone thought to bestow it with flight, another superior intelligence. And then the floodgates burst. Concepts with multiple heads, or arms and legs, and so on and so forth. It was getting absurd. A part of me wanted to tell them to go away and find something else to create, but in the end I couldn't deny their passion. And here we are.
Oh, talk about dynamic entry.
That was too close. Are you unharmed?
Oh, thank you for the hydrate. And look at her!
Well now, if it isn't a pair of familiar faces.
Banar, that we should meet you here.
As I mentioned earlier, the better part of the convocation holds that when we retire is when we return to the star. Well, she is not among said majority. Even after stepping down, she carries on with her work. Vanar is her name, and she is the previous Azem.
That is a very surprised expression.
It has been a while, Hythlodaeus. You look well. Less so, Emmet Selk. I dare say the lines upon your brow have both deepened and doubled in number. A shame for one so young. You must make an effort to frown less often.
Ooh, she's got sharp tongue, doesn't she?
Easier said than done, thanks to your unruly successor.
How is he, if I may ask?
Incorrigible as ever. Rushed headlong into a volcano on the brink of eruption just the other day. I should be glad to share the tale in its entirety later, if you're so inclined.
Oh, you know I am. Now then, you are? I say, have you perchance come from the future?
No, why would you think that?
I do not believe we have ever met, yet I sense my magic upon you. Therefore, if I wove the enchantment, I could only have done so at a later point in time.
What manner of magic is this, if I may ask?
A traveler's ward, of course. It prevents the corruption of one's ether.
Does it protect you from enthrallment by primals by any chance?
Primals, you say? But I'm not familiar with such beings. But if they enthrall by warping the balance of ether, then yes, the magic would afford you a measure of protection. I gather from your question that you are not ignorant to its presence.
Hold on. From the future? That's absurd.
What is it? Are you unable to speak of the matter?
If only you knew.
The reality to which you must return exists as a result of the final days. You cannot reshape the past to undo the tragedies of the present.
So, your actions here will not change your history, but they may yet affect the course of ours. How very exciting! I'm quite fond of delving into the unknown, and there's naught more unknown than the future. Until a moment finally arrives, we cannot know for certain what will come to pass, regardless of our supposed foreknowledge, so you needn't worry for us. More importantly, that you should go to such great lengths as to travel unto the past bespeaks the gravity of your quest. Will you not reveal it to us? Mayhap we can be of aid to your cause.
I wish I could.
If this is true, then you've been keeping quite the secret to yourself. As a representative of the Convocation, I will hear it all. Your identity, purpose, everything.
Why don't we move to a place more conducive to calm conversation? I've been working here for some days now at an old friend's behest. If it is agreeable, we may make use of my accommodation at Poiton Oikos. We were meant to meet. I am certain of it. else I wouldn't have marked you so clearly and sent you unto myself in the past. It's precisely the sort of mischief I would get up to. And quite inspired, if I do say so myself.
Oh, I see what you're doing, Final Fantasy. You're getting me attached to all these characters so that you can break my heart again. And here I thought you were a harmless stray familiar. As far as I'm concerned, this nebulous talk of future this and changing history, that can wait. First, I mean to find out exactly who you are and what you hope to achieve here. The future. Our future. I'm definitely curious to hear more. My apologies, but before we move along, a colleague has tasked me with a matter which I'd rather not leave unresolved. It involves finding a certain concept engraved crystal, and the quick-fingered Arias, which made off of it. And Arias, you see, I think we might have seen the culprit before being distracted by the business of the shark. Would you like us to follow its ethereal trail? That would, of course, lead us only to Arias. There's no guarantee that it hasn't dropped or stashed away the crystal you seek. Please. Even that much would be enormously helpful. While you are hunting down the thief, I can follow behind and scour the the forest floor, just in case. Could I ask you to join search? I would appreciate another pair of eyes to cover the land to the west of here. Many thanks. There's a small bridge leading into Port Oikos. Let us meet up there once we've exhausted our efforts. Okay, this way. And oh boy, that is a large creature. Millennium? Okay, I'll have to attune to that, but I assume we will get there in a bit. There it is. Oh, I can't jump over that rock. Now, what is that? The Minotaur? Oh yeah, it's... it is indeed a Minotaur. The problem you present is vexing enough without adding on old Azim into the equation. She wonders why these lines upon my brow grow deeper, when she herself wields the hammer and chisel. Miasms, both mentor and student, are a force to be reckoned with. I find them a delight, personally, but they have a habit of making M. Silk look as if he bit down on sour grape. Our last searcher returns. I'm afraid the Orias no longer had crystal, nor was I able to find it as I followed in its wake. I don't suppose you fared any better. Well, lucky you, I actually have found it. A scintillating crystal upon which is stored some manner of esoteric concept. It is a very bright crystal indeed. The crystal, well done. Wonderful. Now I can focus on your tale without that missing concept nagging at my mind. Have you always had a knack for finding things? You could say that. Traveling and searching go hand in hand. You travel often then. It seems we have something in common. Long ago, when I held the seat of Azem, I was forever trekking back and forth across the star, in search of answers to people's problems. Naturally, the need for such journeys has lessened considerably since I entrusted the position to my whimsical successor. Yet I am still eager to come running should an old acquaintance or a new interest require my personal attention. That is what brings me to Alpis, in fact. Many times has my presence been requested. My opinions sought concerning the habitat of this or that creation. Agreeing to help locate that missing crystal was a minor distraction, which now promises to become a major revelation. How strange and wonderful it is the way one thing leads to another. Wouldn't you agree? Vana is in a cheerful mood. Past and not yet come to pass. Thank you again for your timely help. Now then, 'tis time I return this stolen property. If you will go on ahead to my accommodation, I will join you as soon as I have attended to that task. Follow the path straight ahead to the building at the top of the slope. I have the entire place to myself, so we can speak without fear of being disturbed or overheard. I will feel much better after taking a short respite to converse and debate with my associates. I consider it essential to exchange ideas with my colleagues regarding my observation work. Without such external stimulation, one has a tendency to lose the forest for the trees, so to speak. Very wise indeed. Meleagros? Is he a summer of some kind? I am a taxonomist, an artist in the medium of names. It's my job to adorn the flora and fauna of the theories, such as these creatures you see here, with names befitting their natural beauty. I wonder whether if all the names are titles, or if it's only just a convocation. Are you quite alright? Even for a mere familiar, you appear to be suffering from a most stressing dearth of ether. Do let me know if you require help, yes? Oh, how kind of you. see. Hmm, interesting. I think the gunblade would be something like a... Yes, chainsaw, look at that. Nice, very nice. Let's take a look at armor then. Oh. Neat, neat. Not a big fan of the arm holes here though. Alas, there's nothing I can do about that. Posture check, alright. Alright, that's all straightened out. You needn't be nervous around Vana. Those white robes mark her as one of fair and impartial reasoning. Aside from the emissary, Elizabeth, such garb is worn only by those who have stepped down from public office to serve as advisors. Whatever you have to say, she will listen without judgment. Yes, this will be far more comfortable than interrogating you on the side of the road. Welcome to my temporary abode. Please make yourself at home while I put on some tea.
A wonderful aroma. I feel more relaxed already.
Would that I had sweetmeats to offer, but I travel light out of habit. There's plenty of hot water though, so please have as much tea as you like. Now then, will you tell us your tale?
In the future I came from, a calamity called the Final Days has befallen the world. The world has been sundered, broken into shards. Mankind is being forced to flee the star. The world has been sundered, broken into shards. A calamity called the Final Days has befallen the world.
Why don't you start from the beginning?
I think that would be wise, so they can understand the gravity of the situation and the depths of the horrors to come.
Preposterous. Utterly preposterous.
While not the words I would have chosen, I too have my doubts. Much of it borders on the incredulous. What of you, Vanar?
Not knowing the precise details of the first final days, it is difficult to determine the veracity of the tale. Supposing it is all true, I must ask myself why I would do what I did. Why would I feel I had no recourse but to oppose the 14 and create this Hydaelyn? Circumstances change, of course, but it would not have been an easy decision regardless. No, there must have been a reason. One compelling enough to force me to take such drastic measures. Then there is the Elpis flower, which I said would serve as a guide. That it's of import to your mission is plain, but your presence here leads me to believe that this place also holds significance. But what could it be? What are we meant to accomplish?
Might it not be simply thus? In the future whence he came, the final days could not be averted. Mankind has no choice but to flee the star. By alerting us to that eventuality, perhaps you wish to pave the way for other futures.
Theoretically speaking, it is a possibility. Yet if that were my primary objective, I see no reason to guide our friend to Elpis specifically. The capital on Amarot, or even my own home would be more logical destinations.
True. I note also that Hydaelyn did not specify a point in time to which he must return. By this, it may be inferred that it was not critical that we should meet.
Alternately, she had reason to believe that our paths would converge, coincidental though it may seem.
This is quite a puzzle, and we do not have all the pieces.
Hardly any, but we do have one immutable fact. If the final days are indeed as described, they will bring death to all that I hold dear. Yet despite being afforded long years of preparation, the only provisions I could make were for flight. Nay, my first and foremost endeavor would be to find a way to forestall the coming doom.
Given that even the 14 failed, mayhap you deemed it impossible.
Nothing is impossible. This I have always believed. And if Hydaelyn is indeed me, she would believe the same.
Listen to yourself. Are you seriously entertaining the notion that you are a messianic figure in some far-fetched tale? Well, I will not. I refuse to accept that our world could be undone by some unforeseen calamity. I also take offense to my portrayal as a megalomaniacal madman.
Okay, that's fair.
To sacrifice oneself for the star is a noble act, and I would hold those who gave themselves to this zodiac in the highest esteem. Yet, you claim I recreated Amarot and populated it with phantoms of our people? A bizarre indulgence that would be insulting to their memory. Worse still, I even invited you there. Literally invited my own downfall. Why would I do something so idiotic and inexplicable? Now, I will allow that the hypothetical task of restoring our world would be daunting in the extreme. The thought of having to bear such a burden for 1,000 lives horrifies me. But I would never forsake my duty. I would never forsake my brethren. You do not know me. I've had my fill of your fiction. I will return to my duty, and you will not bother me again.
Emmett Selk! Wait!
You've seen much of Elpis already. If you have any observations to share, I should like to hear them.
Dynamis is a key to all this. Hermes and Meteon are somehow involved. Well, they are, I suppose, since only the two of them are intrinsically linked with the concept of Dynamis.
Ah yes, the energy distinct from ether. Though not my field, I have a basic understanding of Dynamis. And you say Hermes researched the phenomenon in the course of creating Meteon? Yes, I believe this warrants further investigation. With that settled, it is time for action. The missing pieces of the puzzle are here, I'm certain of it. And when you find them, the picture my future self has painted will be complete, and you will have your answer. And suffice it to say, I will aid you in your quest. Have faith. If Emmett Selk is the man Azum described to me, we've not seen the last of him.
Shall we begin our investigations then? I'm acquainted with Hermes, of course, but only as a visitor received by the chief overseer of Elpis. Of the man himself, I know only that which is common knowledge. Thus, I suggest we fall back on the tried and true method of conversing with the locals. The observers who live here can surely tell us more of Hermes and Meteon, and I have a good idea where we might begin. I think one thing a little strange about playing like a mech side character is that situations like this, like if Anna is supposed to become Hydaelyn in the future with this godlike figure, but here I am standing a whole head taller than her. See you the woman standing in front of yonder building. Her name is Mean. She is the one who made arrangements for my stay in Elpis, and from what I recall, she has held her position here for quite some time. Chances are she can provide us with some insights. Go and ask her questions. I'll help you with drawing out answers if need be. But I leave the choice of topic up to you. Questions for me? Well, I suppose I have no other pressing duties in the moment. Greetings, Ismene. My friend here is desperately curious about Chief Hermes, and I was wondering if you might indulge him. Certainly, Mistress Finna. Anything to be of service. What do you wish to know? What kind of person is Hermes? Well, I think we kind of have a good gauge of that, but let's find out if he has any interests. What are Hermes' interests? His interests? Well, he is an authority figure on flying life forms, and has an expansive knowledge of living creatures in general. Is that what you wish to know? How would you describe him as a person? As a colleague? He is a quiet man. Reserved, you might say, and occasionally somewhat poor with his choice of words. His reticent nature, however, does not prevent him from carrying out his duties as chief overseer. I hope that answers your question. Was there anything else? Do you know of Meteon's abilities? It's no secret that she is a highly unusual familiar. Of late, the chief often makes his rounds with her, like a mother hen raising her chick. I understand that she is able to read emotions and communicate directly with one's mind. Exactly how she was created with that talent, however, is a mystery to me. My apologies. I wish I could explain her nature in more depth, but I've not had occasion to discuss it with Chief Hermes. Do you wish you knew him better? The Chief may not be the most gregarious individual, but he engages with us as is necessary for everyone to perform their duties. I wouldn't want to intrude upon his privacy for the sake of curiosity. But if you wish to learn more about Meteon, you could try speaking with, Timaeus, another expert in the creation of flying concepts. He should be conducting his observations on the bank of the stream, somewhere to the east. Oh, and unless you take a particular joy in rambling discourse, I suggest you keep your questions concise. We shall keep that in mind. Thank you for your patience and your insight. Think nothing of it. If there's aught else you need during your stay, please do not hesitate to ask. Come, Sylvain. I think we've taken enough of this means time. You are familiar, yes? Belonging to Mistress Finna? You'd have been blessed with a finer master. Our investigations often a fine start, wouldn't you agree? From here, I propose that we split up. We shall continue making inquiries with the resident observers. If you could track down the colleague Ismene mentioned. Well, I did feel compelled to interject once or twice during that previous conversation. You seem more than capable of drawing forth the answers you seek. All I ask is that you watch your footing around the stream. We can meet back here once you've finished speaking with this Timaeus. There he is. Yes, yes, I am Timaeus. But please keep your voice down. You'll startle the birds. So, what is it you wish to speak about? What do you think of Chief Hermes' flying creations? Chief Hermes' work, a worthy subject indeed. Those beings which soar through the clouds, majestic and graceful, are ever a favorite of creators. Even now, with so many varieties in existence, the flood of newly imagined concepts continues unabated. What sets the Chief's creations apart, however, is how they benefit from his boundless knowledge of the celestial realm. Birds that climb so high that they disappear from view, others which traverse the boundless skies in moments, and all without riding the currents. I know of none save he who can conceive of such marvels. Even we who prize elegance of form above all else are dumbfounded by his genius. Meteon, too, is a marvel then. My opinion on that matter would be superficial at best. Despite my admiration for Meteon as a concept, I have never delved too deeply into the inner workings of her nature. I know that she has a gift for communicating via emotions, but otherwise her abilities are a mystery to me. If Chief Hermes should choose to submit Meteon's concept to the Bureau of the Architect, then will the design be registered for public scrutiny? Analyzing a colleague's creation before that step is frowned upon, to say the least. Of course, if he came to me, a fellow artisan, looking for advice, that would be an entirely different story. Do you know of Dynamis and Entelekis? Dynamis and Entelekis. Those terms do sound vaguely familiar. Was there not a flower made here in Elpis which exhibited properties of one or the other? It must have been centuries since I last heard anyone speak of such things. Has there been a resurgence in interest? Then why bring up the subject? I flattered that you sought my insight, but I cannot afford to neglect my duties for the sake of idle chatter. Now, I really must return to my observations. Surely you have your own tasks to attend to. So, the concept of Dynamis and Entelekis has not been brought up in centuries, which is quite a while. Though, in reference to the lives of the ancients, is it a long while or is that a short while? I'm back already. That was quick work. You were obviously clever enough to head off any of that rambling Ismene mentioned. So, have you any new findings to share? I see. Even an expert in the field had little understanding of Meteon's capabilities, let alone an awareness of Dynamis. My questions resulted in much the same answers. Hermes' colleagues view Meteon as his personal project, and could provide no details beyond those which you just told me. Which leads me to believe that the only person with any significant knowledge of Dynamis is Hermes himself. Yes, we've made some progress here, but more information is needed if we are to reach any definitive conclusions. Mina is musing over your recent findings. At present, the strongest link we have to the final days is the power of Dynamis, and the entelechies which can control it. Yet scholars are only vaguely aware of these terms, let alone study them in any depth. Except for Hermes, it seems. Thus, I am inclined to stay our current course and learn all that we can about the Chief Overseer and his familiar. And on that subject, was there aught else of note you can tell me about Meteon? Aside from her unorthodox method of communication. She and her sisters were created to journey to the stars and search for intelligent life. I rather wish you had mentioned that earlier. In any event, would you care to elaborate? So these siblings of hers now travel the great expanse in search of deeper meaning. Thank you. Though the mystery at hand remains unsolved, I feel you've touched upon a vital clue, one we should keep in mind as we continue. Next, I propose that we take ourselves to Peripateia Crystalline. Not far from here. Just follow the path to the west. I swear, learning to pronounce the names of all these locations are nothing short of a tongue twister. Can I climb this? I cannot. Primordial Hypersif. A fair bit cloudy. This tower and the one further along are both part of Peripateia Crystalline, a facility where they archive all of Elpis' observational and testing records. Despite how they appear from the outside, the interior is actually a vast area of magically interconnected spaces, which, while fascinating, is not the reason we are here, is it? I shall cut my architectural lesson short and see what those two archivists have to share. Or, if you could find someone to speak with over at the other tower, I shall join you there anon. Peripateia Archivist. You have questions for me? Certainly. Just a moment while I conclude my current appointment. Indeed. So if you could provide a comprehensive log of those behaviors, we should then have sufficient data for our official records. Now, what was it you wished to speak with me about? The Chief Overseer's personal project, and by that I assume you mean Meteon. So what intrigue are we witnessing today? I suppose it is to delve deeper into understanding the Chief Overseer Hermes as well as Meteon, as well as the concept of Dynamis and Entelechy. We've also revealed to Amitselk, Hephadeus, and Vana that we are indeed from the future, beyond the final days, which will bring about the end of the star. Hephadeus and Vana seems to have difficulty believing the tale, but they have entertained the thought nonetheless, and pondered about how they may act to avert the coming apocalypse. Silk, on the other hand, vehemently refuses to believe it, what we've told him. Such undocumented studies are difficult to track. After all, hardly a day goes past without seeing the researcher trailed by one creation or another. I'm afraid I cannot tell you exactly when Meteon appeared, only that she now spends much of her time at Chief Hermes' side. Although I do recall an interesting tale my dearest Galeen shared with me. Galeen is my partner, and a fellow researcher here in Elpis. She was returning late one night when she caught sight of Chief Hermes sending Meteon heavensward, a host of them. For several days she would speak of that scene with wonder, describing it as one of the most beautiful spectacles she had ever witnessed. That sounds like a story I should like to hear. Mistress Vana, I thought you had already returned to the surface. Permit me to thank you again for your invaluable contribution to our concept placement proposal. Pray, do not mention it. As you say, my original plan was to leave after that task, but I have since become engrossed with Chief Hermes' research. Would you favor me with a retelling of the sight which so delighted your Galeen? Of course. Or you could hear it from her lips directly, if you prefer. At present, she should be observing a subject at Metabasios Phalasi. She does enjoy her time there, watching the sea creatures hunt and play, gazing upon the salty waters of the world's oceans, created in such sublime detail. I imagine you must find similar joy in indulging your boundless curiosity, Mistress Vana. Even though such pursuits must continually and regretfully delay your return to the star. Indeed they do. 'Tis a rest well deserved and long overdue, I should think. How greatly have we prospered for the wisdom you accumulated during your travels as Azim. And what would Elpis be without your earlier academic work? The theories you developed served as a basis of many techniques still in use today. Man is a creature of contemplation, but none embody that nature with as much enduring passion as you. I dare say there is not a soul more worthy of return. I shall rejoice the day you depart on your final journey. I will be honored. Well, shall we take this opportunity to meet with Galeen in person? Then allow me to reconfigure the door to the archives here. It will take you up to the Skyway and spare you the need to avoid hostile concepts on the ground. That would be most helpful, thank you. The other archivist said not we hadn't already heard, but the story of Galeen sounds promising. I have opened the path to the Skyway. Once you pass through the door, simply walk straight across to the next tower and ask for admittance to the upper tier. Upon arriving at the upper tier, walk straight across the Skyway and you will find yourself at the entrance to the Metabasios Felsi. Galeen will be eager to share her tale with you, I'm sure. Makes such lovely screenshots, don't you think? Our head is still part of Peripetia Crystalline. We will need to we'll need to ask for passage through to the upper tier. Mrs. Vena, just passing through? Then allow me to prepare the path. If you need further assistance, there is always an observer or two out on the upper Skyway. The door leads into the Fallaci, but perhaps we can trouble this person for assistance with finding Galeen. Mistress Vena, I was not told to expect. We will have prepared an official welcome. Please, there is no need for fanfare. I only wish to speak with Galeen, if that might be arranged. Yes, Galeen, of course. I will inform her immediately. Ah, but she may be engaged in a testing phase. Could you be in for something? You could be in something of weight. Shall I let her know your business is urgent? But it won't be necessary. This lovely view will keep us occupied until she is ready to receive us.
A delightful breeze and a breathtaking view. What is it like in the future? Is the world still a beautiful place?
Some parts, yes. Others, not so much.
Dark, hidden places, rife with danger. Those have an altogether different, but no less powerful sort of appeal. While we wait, will you not tell me about your adventures?
I would be full glad to tell you.
Well, not the portentous events which led you here, but the simple delights all your own. By learning about the future world, I may gain insight into future me's plans. But more than that, I have an interest simply as a fellow traveller. Short of going somewhere oneself, there's naught more stirring than hearing another's account. Incredible! Would that I could have been there to see it. Yours is a harsh and unforgiving world. Yet in spite of this, your brethren hold fast to their virtue. To know that the light of mankind's potential still shines, even in that faraway place, it gives me heart. Thank you for regaling me with your tales. I will treasure every word. As you know, I was once a scholar. And among other things, I sought to understand the workings of the world. What exactly is ether? How formed the laws of nature? Whence sprung mankind? Riddles and mysteries beyond counting. Over the years, I have managed to find answers to some few of them. Yet rather than attain a sense of mastery, the more I understood, the more I came to hold the world and its miracles in awe. We too are miracles, each and every one of us, born of the warm breath of life that traverses the heavens, swirling through eternity. When I fully grasped the improbability of our existence, nothing felt impossible anymore. If it could be imagined, it could be done. A passion swelled within me, an epiphany dispelling all preconceptions of what was natural and true. And a presence without, immense yet intimate. Fate, perhaps, holding us in its tender embrace. As reassuring as it was intimidating, how keenly aware I became of creation's fragility, built as it is upon precarious happenstance. I was overcome with an irrepressible urge to know the world more intimately, to hear its voice, feel its breath. I ventured forth on a journey that very day, so very long ago now. Freed from presumption and prejudice, I saw the world through a newborn's eyes. Everything fresh and new, and so beautiful. Lands that stretched on forever. Skies one could drown in. The heartbeat of nature, silent yet strong. And amidst it all a people. Beacons of light and life. Laughter that warmed my heart like naught else before. They are my meaning, and my purpose, my love. And so long as they need help, I cannot return to the star. Perhaps my future self is still waiting for it. The moment she can let go and walk unto the end. Safe in the knowledge that man will find his own way. You, who are our future, tell me this, and tell me true. Has your journey been good? Has it been worthwhile?
Pray forgive my lateness.
Oh, there we go.
My observation subject was rather irritable, and it took a while to settle it down.
No need to apologize. Your work takes precedence. Besides, we had a pleasant conversation in the meantime.
You're too kind. Now then, I'm told you wished to ask me some questions.
Indeed. I've an interest in one of Hermes' creations. Meteon. You witnessed a host of them take flight, yes?
Oh, that! Yes, yes, I did. 'Twas in the dark of the morn. I'd left the Thalassai after nocturnal observation. As I walked along, I spied a bright light climbing high into the southeastern skies. Then, in an instant, it was gone. Like a shooting star, only rising rather than falling. But then another shot up, then another, and another. Intrigued, I made my way to the edge to investigate. And who should I spy on an isle to the south but Hermes and Meteon, the Metea, rather. There were lots of them, and I realized they must be the shooting stars that I'd seen.
A dazzling spectacle indeed. Have you spoken with Hermes about this?
Oh, yes. The sight left such an impression on me that I approached him about his mystery project the very next day. Alas, he said that he couldn't reveal anything just yet, that he needed to conduct further tests. It shouldn't be long now, though. He often returns to that isle, and I have a feeling he's nearing a breakthrough.
Splendid. We are likewise eager for the details. Well, that is all we wish to ask. Thank you for taking the time to indulge our curiosity.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to speak with other inquisitive souls. Oh, and will you be descending now? If so, I shall link the doors for you.
Please.
Oh, she has such a soothing voice to listen to. So, another piece of the puzzle falls into place. From what we've learned thus far, I think we can safely conclude that Hermes hasn't been revealing the details of his research to others. which suggests that either someone will appropriate his discoveries and make use of them, or that Hermes himself will have a hand in causing the final days. Since we have no reason to suspect the former, we should consider the latter a more likely possibility. Proceeding under that assumption, our next step to be held by O and even Y. Our next step should be to divine why, or even if he might desire such a terrible fate for our star. Let me process that for a bit. Sitting under the assumption, our next step should be to divine why, or even if he might desire such a terrible fate for our star. Vana has a new course of investigation in mind. I should like to visit a site from which Hermes... Oh, give me a second. I should like to visit a site from which Hermes sent forth the Matea. If we are fortunate, we might find some hint of what drives this research of his. Galeen said she spotted them in southeast, rising from an isle she could see from the edge. If we stand at the same vantage point, it should not prove too difficult to locate the isle in question. Let's take a look, shall we? Giant cats here. Melanion? Melanion? Will I even pronounce it? I do not know. However, this calls for yet another photo taking. Right here. I wonder how this will look like with my Dark Knight. Ah, perfect. I see the sun's rising. There you go. Right, and it's enough goofing around, I think. Now, if I were conducting some mystery research, where would I go? Ah, what about that one? Have you the means to fly? It is quite a distance away. Not in this world, I'm afraid. Inconvenient, but hardly an insurmountable problem. To me, Argos. Oh. My friend, would you mind creating a double to carry Sylvain here over that island? Stubborn creature. There is no place on this great star we have not together traveled. And still he remains obstinate in the presence of strangers. Argos has rather exacting standards, I'm afraid. What? You've ridden him before? Ah, your before meaning my after. Not at all confusing, that. Interesting. 'Tis certainly not unthinkable. But speaking of the here and now, a quick solution is for us to face off in a sparring match. Demonstrate to him you are capable of holding your own against me in battle, and you should convince Argos that you are worthy of his back. And besides, I might even teach you a thing or two. I might even teach you a thing or two into the bargain. You seem doubtful, but useful lesson or not, it will certainly be a moment to remember. A memory of the distant past to cherish. What say you, traveler out of time? Then choose your battlefield. I admire your confidence. Clear your mind and prepare your weapons. I will await you at the clearing over yonder. Oh, okay. Have the 1v1 Vina. I suppose I should use my Dark Knight then. One that I'm more familiar with. Well, I suppose she might be bringing. Oh no, it's an instanced duty, so I wouldn't be needing a good old chocobo here. The entity is identical to one you encountered in Mare Lamentorum, except this Argos is pointedly ignoring you. Shall we begin? Be warned, I will not go easy on you.
Let neither side hold back.
I see.
My blade
Dang. She's ridiculously powerful, it seems. Hmm? Ooh. Okay, I see. Ooh. Okay. Interesting. I suppose this might come in handy later. Right, I'll have to drop the cast of Blackest now. She casts Cleos. Alrighty, here we go.
Let neither side hold back. My blade sings! My blade sings!
Uh-oh.
Impressive. I shall have to try something different.
Oh, she swapped over to a monk, huh?
No quarter.
Oh. That's a dancer.
Have a taste.
Ooh.
I see you won't be easily overcome, but neither will I. Prepare yourself.
Oh no.
Covered me with your all.
Oh, come on. Oh, wait. Nice dodge that one. I think I should be able to avoid it from here.
My blade sings!
This is gonna take a while.
Very well. Let us move to the final
Oh.
trial.
Oh, that's not good at all. You tell me that's over.
Break your chains, shed your burdens, and show me your strength of will!
Oh, that's cool.
You still stand. The people of your time are more resilient than I had dared hope. I have seen enough.
Yeah, that was pretty badass.
Twas my intent to finish it, but clearly I underestimated you. One would think I never learn. I made the same mistake with Azam when we first sparred. Despite being less than half my age, his strength was astounding. As is yours. 'Tis plain you have weathered considerable hardship. Far more even than your tales would suggest. It seems we have both learned much on our journeys. Well now, I dare say he has warmed to you. A boon to be sure. He never forgets his favorites, and is ever eager to come to their aid.
Argos will soon have us standing on the very spot wherever Matea made the departure into the night sky. With luck, we will learn something of Hermes' intentions. My hope is that we find no connection, no festering wish for oblivion. Then we might have Hermes and his considerable expertise working for us rather than against us. Vana has Argos and his double at heel. Oh. I just realized I should have swapped back to Red Mage. Oh well. Let's move over to the edge before mounting, shall we? That will allow Argos to catch the currents rising up from below and give us a smooth ride over to the Isle. Primordial Cyclops. Climb onto Argos' back, and we can be off. You know, I honestly cannot remember the last time he carried anyone but me. Argos motions to his back with his muzzle. You've been given the go-ahead to hop on. Argos launches into the air with a powerful leap. Isn't this pleasant? Argos simply seems to think so. Now, what was the name of that tree? No something. Ah, Notophoron. Quite a striking specimen, is it not? Brace yourself for the landing. I wouldn't want you tumbling off at the last moment.
Quite a small place, lacking even the most basic equipment. The present may yield no clues, but we may yet try perusing the past. Have you done this before?
The power of the echo, perhaps.
So you cannot control the power freely. Worry not. I shall assist you. Come and stand before me. There are two ways to see the past. The first entails peering through the walls of the soul in the moment a subject is recalling a memory. The second requires no subject, and is instead a process of piecing together an event from ripples left in the ambient ether. As memories are etched upon the ether of the soul, so too are they etched upon the ether of the world. In this way can history be preserved. Such memories are given to fading, however, and can prove challenging to visit. But come, let us try. Close your eyes.
All units fully functional and proceeding on course towards their respective stars. Estimated time to completion of survey is 108 cycles. End of status report. Severing connection with shared consciousness. Did you hear that, Hermes? All is well.
Yes. Good tidings at long last. Every step of the way, I've been reminded how little we understand creation. How the universe defies imagination.
But soon we won't need to speculate. We'll know the answers. What others live for.
Indeed. And we'll owe it all to you and your sisters.
I wonder what answers we will get.
Whatever intelligent beings that exist out there are bound to be vastly different from us. Diverse in form and culture. Possessed of unique ways of thinking. Their conception of life and its purpose will be no exception. Completely and utterly unlike ours.
Utterly unlike... how?
I have no idea. Yet whatever answers we receive, I will not dismiss them out of hand. No, I will think earnestly on them all. And I will share them with our people, that together we may contemplate our own existence. Perhaps then our star will become a better place. Not only for man, but for all life. Meteon, though I gave you wings to soar the heavens, I did not teach you how to walk the earth. So loath was I to bind another living being. In the course of your long journey, you will learn from those you meet. Learn to walk and run and so much more. And when you return, older and wiser, we will have a celebration to mark your homecoming and coming of age both.
Will there be apples? Covered in syrup?
And how are you supposed to eat them? Rather than food, perhaps... a flower. Yes. Upon your return, I will gift you a beautiful flower.
So, what is your opinion?
Hermes wouldn't wish for the final days. Hermes is a gentle soul, and yet... There's many things that we do not know. Perhaps some dark discovery that he made. Who knows?
understand. He is a gentle soul, and well-intentioned. Yet it does not take ill intent to beget ill. We must consider the possibility that something may have gone awry. Perhaps it was oversight, or simply an accident. In light of this, I propose that we reveal your tale to Hermes himself. If he does not wish for the final days, as we believe, he may well join us in pursuing a solution. Then it is settled. Let us seek out our friend with all swiftness. 'Twould not do to let such a pure soul be blackened by tragedy.
There are any number of places where Hermes might be in Elpis. But we could do worse than to look in Katisis Hyperborea, the largest facility. It stands in Ephosoletikos Boreas, the Northern Isle. I wonder, Sylvain, for an institution which claims to studiously research every species destined for release into the world, did you not question how they find room for them all on so few islands? The answer lies within Katisis itself. I touched upon the practice before back at the archives, where a vast area is stitched together out of multiple conceptual spaces. Same holds true for the interior of this facility and its magically constructed environments. 'Tis there, within those sprawling habitats, that the chief overseer and most of Elpis's observers conduct the bulk of their work. Come, the simplest route is via the nails north of Poison Icos. Ephosoletikos Boreas. Okay. I'll look at that just in time too. Once I finish off this quest, I'm gonna call it a night. I can probably still get some reasonable hour of sleep. This appears to be the teleporter Vana told you about. Motes of light yet hang in the air, suggesting the device was but recently activated. Ah, good. Neos acknowledged you as my guest. You should now have the authority to use it as you wish. As for the way to Katisis Hyperborea, we follow this path, then turn left at the crossroads. I mean, this itself, it's a very massive building. Yeah, tell me that it gets even bigger. Here we are, the grandest facility in Elpis. We should head inside and ask after Hermes' whereabouts. Hermes is at another facility, as we have just discovered. Oh. Oh, would you look at that? Furthermore, we've confirmed that his studies into Dynamis, as well as his creation of Meteon, were entirely private pursuits. No one else we spoke with appeared to possess the chief's depth of knowledge on the subject, and neither did we hear any tales of stolen research. Which means that if Hermes himself harbors no desire to bring down an apocalypse, then he might be recruited to help prevent one. Or so saith the illustrious M. Silk. According to your story, the 14 divined the connection between the celestial currents and the final days, but were never able to pinpoint the root cause of the calamity. Of all people's greatest minds, not to mention Hypnodeus' sharp eyes, committed to the pursuit of a solution, such an outcome seems inconceivable. The only possible explanation is if the nature of the catalyst was so inexplicable that even we fail to perceive it. And what better fits that description than the invisible, intangible Dynamis? Which in turn leads us to our next question. How did Hermes, in his role as Vandaniel, not recognize the subject of his own research? You must assume that he either knew and was unable to help, or that he was otherwise prevented from identifying the cause in the first place. At this juncture, all we can do is speculate. To be clear, the Convocation does not tolerate acts of deception or malice. We are practiced at perceiving truth and would have known had Vandaniel lied to us. Hermes has no conscious wish for the world to end. Of that I'm certain. It seems there is more to the tale after all. We conducted an investigation of our own, you see. How comforting. How comforting. We seem to have reached the exact same conclusion. I see no reason to delay further. This time we brought Hermes into the fold, as it were. Thank you for your understanding. Save your thanks. I did not say I believed your ridiculous story. But as M. Silk, I have the duty to examine any potential threat to our existence, no matter how ludicrous or personally offensive I may find it. You can see little Hypnodeus having a little chuckle there. Alright then. And this is where we shall end our adventure for today. Tomorrow we shall continue some, after my duties have concluded. I thank you all for coming by to share this experience with me. Right then. I shall see who else is streaming at this hour, and perhaps we may send our attention their way. Ah, I see. Richter is currently streaming, and so we shall pay him a visit. Okay, I believe I have his chat channel name typed in correctly. Hopefully. Well then, until we next meet, I shall see you again soon.